welcome back to King Fo Myers. I'm Ariadna.
And I'm Dylan.
And we're back with Sam from Sam So Spooky. As you already heard or not heard, and if you haven't, go back and listen to our first episode, please.
Do it.
All about ghosts and haunted places. We have Sam every other Tuesday talking about KPM Supernatural. Hi, Sam.
Hi, guys.
How's it going?
Good. Happy to be back for our next episode.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm excited for this one a whole bunch because I love knowing about spooky places and haunted places. So if you guys haven't noticed, it's about haunted places this episode. And I love it because much I think like we finished the last episode and like we talked really quickly about cemeteries. I love them. I love going to places where there's magic and mist and these good kind of eerie feelings. Not the weird ones that we talked about in the last episode.
A bit of a spooky kind of magic.
Exactly.
Halloween magic.
Exactly. Do you like haunted places, Dylan and Sam?
No,
Yes.
not at all.
Yes. I love haunted places that are legitimately haunted, and I love haunted houses around Halloween time. I am that person who goes through a haunted house and giggles the whole time. Kind of freaks the actors out, or they'll start joking with me because I'm just so happy to be there.
I'm just so happy to be there.
The only time I stop is if like a dude with a chainsaw comes out, because I can't, like, the sound of the chainsaw, I'm like,
It's like, I'm fine, thank you.
I thought you'd like that. That is your favorite horror movie.
You, sir, you come into my house. No, for the listeners wondering, it's because I have a thing against the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies a little bit. I do need to go back and rewatch them all.
I didn't like them.
How I feel now compared to childhood, because I have not rewatched them since. And also after watching the 80s documentary Intro to Darkness, I did kind of like, because of the actress, I forget her name, but because of the actress, I was like, okay, well now I kind of want to go back and rewatch them. We shall see.
We shall see. Okay. This is actually a
It's
really
not a no.
perfect segue. This is like the best kind of segue. We did not plan this one though.
That's true.
That is we're gonna first talk about the 10 most haunted states.
Okay.
And the first one,
Number one on the list
exactly,
is
Texas.
Oh.
Exactly, it's Texas.
Perfect.
The Lone Star State.
Home of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and locations like Marfa. So, talking about Marfa, I think that's how you say Marfa. I'm assuming.
I think so too.
It's way out in the west, in the middle of nowhere. This tumblewheel town has a reputation for its cool art scene and mysterious Marfa lights. People in the 19th century started spotting these unexplainably colorful glowing orbs. We kind of quickly talked about this in the first episode, what orbs were. I thought that was pretty cool. That was like linked to Texas, or at least at this part. We have a spooky spot for each and every state, and this one is, remember the Alamo?
Yes.
Because ghosts do too, apparently. So many people, they really do.
Wow. I like,
right?
it's basically like, hey, remember death? So do ghosts.
Exactly. Many people say that San Antonio is the most haunted city in Texas, which obviously is no surprise because since it's setting for one of the deadliest battles in America, of course it has to be one of the spookiest, creepiest, and the ones with the most like ghosts.
Ghosts with the most.
Exactly. Ghostly scenes, like viewings, basically. They actually have ghost city tours as well, which I found it interesting once again because we live so close to Salem. So I thought of Salem. I thought of Sleepy Hollow.
You don't think of San Antonio.
You don't think of San Antonio having ghost tours.
When I hear San Antonio, I just hear my dad cursing because he says San Antonio as a curse word. He goes, San Antonio.
I
I
don't
have deep
know.
respect for your dad.
That's pretty funny though.
San Antonio.
I feel like I should own that as well. Because I don't really like saying cuss words, so I feel like I can just say random states.
You can also say cheese and rice if you've never heard that before.
I have not.
That's another way of saying Jesus Christ.
Oh
cheese and rice.
gosh. Cheese and rice. See, I don't really say Jesus Christ a lot, but I do change other cuss words for lighter non-cuss words, I want to say.
My other favorite is Mary, Joseph, and the whole damn family. It's Mary, Joseph, and the whole damn family.
Well, we are talking about Texas, so I guess religion does make sense.
Indeed.
To bring it up right here. All right, so its most haunted place is a man who built Austin's Drisco Hotel. Loved this place so much that he didn't want to leave. He still haunts the grounds alongside the ghost of Texas Senator 4-year-old daughter who fell into the ultimate untimely death in the hotel's grand staircase.
Ooh.
So that's the most haunted place we can find in Texas, which I thought once again is pretty cool. A lot of the stuff we're talking about today are going to be hotels and houses and some parks. So if you're thinking about
in the last episode about the tragic deaths of ghost.
So if you're thinking about doing a 2020 something whenever we all can travel again, spooky trails of USA, then Texas is number one.
That sounds really, really cool.
I would do that. I would go to this.
People doing like a spooky road trip where they hit up different haunted places.
Because a bunch of these places are actually hotels like this one. You're like, oh wow. Okay. All right. Number 2, fan favorite over here. Any guesses?
California.
Very good. It's definitely one of her fan favorites. I wonder why. I feel like the first time we mentioned California to you, because you're from there, you thought it was going to be in first place.
Yes, I did.
And I know you have plenty of stories coming along after we finish our list about California, which I'm super excited to hear as well. Because we have, what do we have in California? We have a park. See, there we go. I knew there was going to be a park somewhere here. Eureka's Fort Humboldt State Historic Park, where hikers reported seeing a ghost of a dead commander staring at them through the hospital windows. Then we have a spooky spot, which is, like it says here, of course, Los Angeles is a hotbed of spookiness, the most star-studded being Hollywood's Hotel Roosevelt. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Hotel Roosevelt.
Where former guest Marilyn Monroe and actor Montgomery Clift still hang around the property.
No kidding.
Once again, see, like you could actually do a road trip and stay at hotels and be like, okay, let's see if Marilyn Monroe sings to me happy birthday tonight.
I like that.
I know, right? And then talking about hotels, the most haunted hotel is known as the Haunted Ship, which I thought you would like this because you love pirates. The Queen Mary is a cruise liner from the 1930s that's now docked in Long Beach, operating as a hotel. The property embraces its spooky side with ghost hunting tours. One of the creepiest rooms is Stateroom B340, which has had so many scary episodes that it was closed off for a number of years.
Oh, it makes me so happy.
Right?
Why close that? People are wimps.
Well, for many years. I don't know if it's open again, but still, I thought that was pretty cool. Taking an old ship.
Open, you're paying a lot of money to stay in that room.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
That's definitely a fact. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Waiver.
And a waiver, exactly. Oh my God, for a lot of these, probably, if not all of them, you're like, here, just in case something happens.
Yeah, for liability.
Enjoy your stay, sign this.
For these ghosts, okay? They're a bit unruly. You can't sue me if a ghost comes after you, okay?
Exactly. You already were warned. This is just like an extra step. In third place, we have Ohio. Who would have thought Ohio?
I would have never thought Ohio.
Right?
I kind of thought Ohio because nothing ever happens in Ohio. And anyone from Ohio will tell you that nothing happens in Ohio.
So if you're from Ohio, tell us if anything happens.
Astronauts that we have in history, guess where they're from?
Ohio?
Ohio, because Ohio's so bad they wanted to leave the planet.
Apparently we're full of dad jokes today.
From Ohio, I apologize.
Exactly. We tease because we care, Ohio. It's not, it's from a musical. I was thinking it the other day. Oh, I forgot.
I mean, they're a very special state. They get to choose the president every year. So, yay, Ohio.
Yay, Ohio. So Ohio has a lot of paranormal stories, to be honest, from what it says here. We have the Twin City Opera House, which once again you would love because you love opera.
I do.
It's in a tiny town of McConnelsville. I'm sorry for butchering names. I'm trying here, people. Where something hides behind the curtains. To Mansfield's Ohio State Reformatory, which hosts regular host hunts and which was the setting for the Shawshank Redemption.
Okay.
Did you watch the Shawshank Redemption?
Yes,
Either of you?
It's a Stephen King.
No, I haven't seen it, but I can't remember if that reformatory was one of the colleges or not, because there is an Ohio college that sits in between 5 cemeteries, and it forms a pentagram with the college at the center.
That is delicious.
I think it's that one. Oh, I think I read something like that. I think. I'm not sure.
You've not seen Shawshank?
No, I haven't seen Shawshank. This goes on to what you and I talked about off camera about there's certain classic movies that I have never seen.
But you watched a movie and then he didn't watch it. As in like the last episode.
That's usually how it is.
That's usually, especially with you two. And I was like, you haven't watched this movie? I forgot which one you mentioned. So it goes both ways.
Of course.
I'm defending Sam in this case. But it goes both ways.
Well, obviously.
Oh my gosh.
Next on the list.
No, we're talking about spooky spots and the most haunted hotel in Ohio. We have
It's one ghost.
Newberry's Punderson Manor. Punderson Manor used to be an estate in 19th century and later became a girls' camp. Oh no.
What could go wrong?
These days, the hotel looks welcoming enough with its Tudor mansion and hillside cabins, but it's so haunted that psychic mediums and paranormal experts often visit to investigate these otherworldly happenings.
All right.
Okay. So it's still a hotel. So it was like an estate to then a girls' camp to then a hotel. And this hotel I'm not visiting. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you very much.
This actually could be my top one.
I am fine. I no thank you. Anyways, number 4.
Fox Mulder would go.
Oh my god.
Exactly.
We have Michigan for number 4.
Michigan. Okay.
Tim Taylor, right?
Yes.
From the Detroit's Michigan Central Station, a truly haunted building that hosts an annual spectacular event, to a number of haunted lighthouses, which we both love lighthouses.
That's cool.
Michigan has a share of creepy tales, earning a high spot on the list. We have Lake Michigan, South Manitou Island as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the most haunted hotel is, oh my goodness, Mackinac, thank you. Mackinac Island's Grand Hotel.
Just snipe that. Nice.
You're just helping me because I can't read, apparently. It's just one of those days. It is known for its front porch, the world's longest front porch, apparently.
The world's longest front porch,
Yes.
really?
And all its ghostly guests. So keep an eye out for the man in the top hat who likes to play the piano in the bar, or a woman in Victorian clothing who sometimes climbs into people's beds.
Why is it always Victorian clothing? Where is my 2000s ghosts? Where are the ghosts who were listening to Britney Spears before they died? Like, where are you?
Those, I feel like, are going to come out still in a few 100 more years. Not 100 more years, actually. In a few, like, 20, 30 years. That's what
We're
I'm
going to
say.
be those ghosts.
Yeah, exactly. Either we're going to be those ghosts, or, like, they're not there yet. They're not there yet.
I'm going to be that ghost that, like, you're alone in a room and all you hear is someone go, bruh.
That sounds very much you. That sounds... If anybody had ever a conversation with you, brah, however you say it,
Bruh.
brah. I can't do it.
You know what? A lot of people don't consider haunted about Michigan, but I heard somebody who was from there talking about this is like, because it's like got the Great Lakes there.
Mhm.
They're like, bro, you wouldn't think about it, but the lakes are kind of a haunted entity in themselves because
Yeah.
all like the things they have claimed, and there's more to it. Like there's different superstitions, especially for people who go out on boats. Like
There's so much because I love the water. I love the sea specifically, and there's so many links towards
ghosts.
sea and ghosts. And then I actually don't like lakes, which is weird. Like I can go into a lake and go into a river, but they give me more creeps than the actual ocean.
That's why.
That's a thing. I'm a mermaid. I don't know. Like I think of ocean as like a lot more free, and I know there's a lot. It's more dangerous.
Yeah, there's so much of the ocean that's dark and unexplored.
But I love it so much. Whereas give me a lake, and I'm like, oh god, oh god. I don't know. I feel like horror movies, looking at you
Jason?
two, yes, has done a lot of mindfuck in my mind.
Nice.
And like Scream, Scream the TV show,
Yeah.
which no spoilers, but Scream the TV show,
Mm.
among other stuff. Oh, it's like, just I thought of Naya Rivera from Glee really quickly.
Oh yeah.
So stuff like that, just for me, just kind of gives me the shivers. So yes, I understand. I would definitely agree that like the 5 lakes, there's 5 lakes, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Have their own set of stories, have their own set of spirits and vibes.
Creepy.
Mm-hmm. Number, where are we now? 5, Illinois. So if we love road trips, like we were talking about before, in a haunted road trip, there's actually a specific route within Illinois that goes from Blood's Point Cemetery near Rockford to haunted I want to say, how would you say that, babes? Right there, or Sam?
Cahokia?
Cahokia Mounds, way south of Springfield.
Who names a cemetery Blood Point? Like, can you imagine saying, I'm gonna go bury grandma at Blood Point? What?
That is the
That's
first
cool,
line
though.
of a horror story right there.
I like that cemetery.
It's a great name.
Oh my god. I actually want to look more into this one for our future selves, even though I don't know anything about Illinois, but once again, I'm just starting to learn more about this country.
Mhm.
I don't even know where it's located, Illinois in this case. But I feel it might be interesting though, because once again, I do love cemetery, so we can find that out. Most haunted hotel makes sense actually in this one. It's Al Capone
Al Capone.
haunts Chicago's Congress Plaza Hotel. Oh, Chicago. Oh, I really want to go visit Chicago.
The Windy City.
Exactly. I heard so many things.
Fence about whether or not Al Capone is actually at the hotel, because it's also said that he haunts his prison cell.
I've heard that one.
But I mean, they can travel. They can go back and forth.
I guess.
Why, thank you.
I suppose.
Oh my god. In this Plaza Hotel, I feel like I've seen a movie with this hotel. Staffers often report sightings of a 6-year-old boy whose mother threw him out of the 12-story window. And in room 441, a female ghost kicks guests while they're sleeping. Look, it's me. I had to beat him to the punch.
Nice.
Will she kick my boyfriend when he snores?
Probably.
Okay, I'll stay there.
Probably.
I'll be like, thanks, Ghosty. You're the best. We girls, we got each other's backs.
Exactly. Get our beauty sleep, dude.
While you were saying that, like the mother who dropped her child out of the 12-story window.
Threw it rather than dropped, but yes.
Yes, all right, through them. When you started to talk about it, I for some reason thought of Home Alone, Macaulay Culkin and his mom, and then you said threw him out the window. I'm like, oh my god! And I saw Macaulay Culkin falling. Kevin,
Oh, no. Kevin, splat. That would be kind of funny.
Alone too. Oh my god. Okay. I was like, where are you going with this?
Not on this like list for Illinois at all? Is Chicago not haunted?
I would think it is.
Yeah, Chicago, you have to be haunted.
Exactly.
You have to be haunted because I say so.
Pretty much. Oh my god. In 6th place, Indiana.
They're even more boring than Ohio. It's a road.
It's a road.
Hey, excuse you, but Pawnee is in Indiana, fictionally, and that makes it great.
That makes it great. And Little Sebastian, may he rest.
I was expecting Bob Ross. It was
Exactly.
either Indiana or Illinois. Well, it was Indiana. I remember now because Bob Ross is in Muncie, which is a place Parks and Rec references. So,
well, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. For spooky spots, actually for ghosts, once again, Indiana University in Bloomington. The campus is crawling with paranormal activity, from the Career Center, where babies are sometimes even heard crying, to the Indiana Memorial Union, which is haunted by a ghostly dog.
Babies and dogs?
Exactly, because, why not?
That makes studying so much harder. You hear baby cries and dogs barking, but you can't do anything because they're dead. You're like, I'm just trying to get through college.
Leave me alone.
I just want to get my degree.
I feel like they're preparing you for life, though, because especially when you live with like so many different people and like roommates or like next door neighbors and they're so loud, you actually either hear a dog barking, as we've mentioned before, or a baby crying.
That'd be the most annoying ghost ever. A dog. They just want to go out and play, and it's like, shut up, shut up, shut up.
It's so bad. The dog will want to play, but you couldn't see it.
And he
Or like
howls
you
every
see a
night.
ball rolling around your room and you know it wants to play, but you're like, I have to do my homework, and like the ball keeps rolling out from under your bed.
Love that. That reminds me of our family dog, though, because what she does when she wants to go out and play. So imagine that, but just not alive.
Forever.
Oh god. Oh god.
It reminds me of that episode of Ghost Whisperer too, where she's like dealing with the ghost dog, but she can't get it to cross into the light because it's a dog. It doesn't understand what she's trying to do. It just wants to play and be a dog.
Good light. Good light.
She's like, you need to go into the light. You go. And the dog's just like, does not get it.
It's like, nope, I'm fine. Just pass me the ball again, or the frisbee or something like that. With the most haunted hotel with Indiana is, like it says here, spas, golf courses, and ghosts. So French Lick Springs Hotel. That's such a weird name.
French Licks.
French Lick Springs.
French Lick.
Lick. Okay, then. Is a resort getaway that is haunted by its founder, Thomas Targart. Targart, I guess. Who?
Names?
I know. I'm happy to say it's only me, but I mean, it's usually me. Who still enjoys soaking in the property's on-site mineral springs and likes to hold parties in an empty ballroom. Housekeepers also find blood in the bathtub when a jilted bride took her life.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Now that sounds like 13 Ghosts.
Was 13 Ghosts a really... Oh, no, that wasn't it. It was on old movie. It's an old movie.
It's not super old, but I mean, like, it was old. I was like in my young teen years when it came out, and I'm almost 30. So I guess...
So it's a 90s movie. It's a early
2000s or late 90s.
I might have watched it.
I
have to look it up. I have to look it up. Now that you keep mentioning it, I'm like, I'm pretty sure.
You're reading, because now I have to know too.
I know, right? So while I can read Pennsylvania, basically.
2001, like right on the cusp.
Literally.
Okay, but soaking?
Yeah, going back to the Indiana one, I was thinking like one of the soaking, which is really weird because you're in a jacuzzi and you're like, ew, I don't want to be with no creepy men, period, and let alone dead. And second of all, could you imagine just having, I imagine like with the ballroom, like Beauty and the Beast, of course, but like just with no one and just like know there's like a party going on and you turn on the lights and you're like, but there's no one there.
All I would like think of is Anastasia, the cartoon.
Oh, I love that movie.
But like with
Yes.
the spa ghost, I'm thinking of Halloween Town when they have to get the ghost.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's like a ghost going to a spa in the afterlife. What are you getting ready for?
He needs to relax.
That ball that you're talking about. He's going to that dead ball with all the other ghosts.
Exactly, you know,
He's gonna
they
be
need to
jacked
relax and unwind, you know. Being a ghost is very, very difficult.
Yeah, stressful afterlife.
I know, right? Oh my god. Oh, Pennsylvania comes in 7th place. You might want to call it, oh god, Paranormal Pennsylvania. Let's find out why. This state has a lot of terrifying tales, from Eastern State Penitentiary, which celebrates its checkered past with tours by day, or for those who are really daring, by night, to the Hell's Hollow Wildlife Adventure Trail, which is as scary as the name would suggest. Would you go on the Hell's Hollow Wildlife Adventure Trail?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm all about new experiences, especially in regards to anything supernatural or.
Yeah, and at this point, with all the horror stuff we've consumed, it's like when something tells you, like, "Oh, this is the scariest thing ever," you're just like, "Bet." We'll see about that.
Hold my beer. Thank you very much. Hold my
Exactly.
wine. All right. Spooky spot. During the Civil War battle, more than 50,000 men perished in Gettysburg. So it's no wonder this is one of the most haunted spots in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. You can hear stories about the spirits who still lurk here from time to time on ghostly images of Gettysburg's ghost tours, or stay at the Gettysburg Hotel where the Confederate nurse walks the hallways.
Ooh.
I think that'll be something fun for you because you like history a lot.
Yes.
So I think
This is that one place where I've actually heard of like a ghostly mist being over the battlefield, and like
Mm-hmm.
you can't see anybody, but you can hear people fighting in the mist.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
He's all
I like
happy.
that. Yeah, he just has a smile. In the charming town of New Hope, the Logan Inn has been creeping out his guests since 1722. Once again,
Jesus,
we're still in Pennsylvania. The spookiest room is number 6, where you can often smell the lavender perfume worn by the mother of former owner and hear her crying at night.
I mean, the crying sucks, but the lavender sounds nice.
Exactly right.
Like, I mean, I'd be like, if I was in that room and I heard her and I started smelling the lavender, I'd be like, because if you think about it, there's so many depressed millennials who keep lighting lavender candles and incense to help our depression. And I would just be like, girl, I hope that lavender is helping your depression. You cry it out. I'm gonna light a lavender candle for you.
Exactly. We can cry on this together. I mean,
Bitch, I'm sad too.
From the 1700s, I think if it's been a couple hundred years, I think the lavender needs to get like amped up a bit.
You mean we need to go in there with some more lavender to help her cross over?
I know, right?
The perfume's not helping, guys. We need a little bit more lavender in this room.
Just a little bit more. Yeah. I just had that thought.
We could send that ghost to the afterlife. Just need lavender.
Lots
Be
of it.
joking around with her, and I'd be like, turn on the TV, be like, have you ever watched the movie Ghost? We could watch it together. Patrick Swayze's very fine looking.
He really is. See, that's exactly what I was thinking about, to be honest. Maybe not that movie, but just like hanging out with a ghost from the 1722 who's crying endlessly. I'm like, we get it. It's like, I got you. I feel it, girl. Let me just get you some wine. Let's talk it out. Oh my gosh. Number 8, we're almost there in top 10, is Oklahoma.
Okay.
Fun fact, my uncle is the mayor of a ghost town in Oklahoma called Maud. That's the name of the city or town or whatever. And I visited them when I moved back to New York recently, and it really is just desolate and abandoned. They actually used the town to film scenes in The Walking Dead because it's so deserted that like there are cars with trees growing through them. There are so many buildings. You go over to Main Street, which is just actually like a street or two away from my from my uncle, and like Main Street looks like a very classic, almost 1950s Main Street, but there's abandoned, nobody around. All the window shops are filled with things, but like windows are either broken or dusty, or the doors are locked or boarded up. It's just, you walk around and it's so creepy.
Wow.
My uncle it looks like he has a bunch of neighbors, but all the houses that are across from his, bordering his house, they're empty, they're abandoned. And the reason why was because in the gold rush days, there were so many people there was up to 40,000 people living in this town for the gold rush. And then once or it might also have been oil, but I'm pretty sure gold rush. And then once that started to die down and people left, they just abandoned things. So now the town has a very low population of maybe a few hundred.
I want to visit this place.
I do. That's awesome.
It's not quite as exciting as I'm making it sound, because there's also like when I visited them and I walked around, it was cool checking out the spooky places. But then you walk past houses that have things like skulls and Confederate flags out front who are still living there. And then you're like, better not.
That's a piece of history right there, though. That's the thing at the end of the day.
It's cool.
It is cool. It's like, what would happen if, the town that we live in, like, for example, in our case, we live in a small town, all of a sudden, like, had to be abandoned, like, all the houses, like, it's a ghost town.
So cool.
There was even a building that, like, and if you go to my Instagram, Sam So Spooky, and you scroll down, you will find pictures of this. I don't know if the thing I'm about to mention is in the shot, but I found this cool, open, abandoned building, and I took some pictures in it with a pretty cool dress. And I found a gurney in there, an old abandoned gurney. And so I went back to my aunt and I was like, oh, I think I found an abandoned hospital when I was wandering. She goes, where did you find it? And I described to her where it was. And she goes, oh, that wasn't the hospital. That was the morgue. Oh, that's great.
That's a fun fact of the day. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna scroll down to find pictures of Maud, Oklahoma. Curiously enough, it did not make the list of the one that we have in front of us, both you and me, but thank you for mentioning it though. But it does. So Oklahoma's spooky side includes haunted military forts, Bigfoot sightings, and a demon called Zozo. A demon.
Ooh,
You love demons.
I do.
Zozo.
Zozo. I like that better. Zozo. It's like Bozo the Clown. That's what I thought of. Oh my god.
Zozo.
Where's Bozo the Clown from?
He's just a iconic clown, isn't he? Bozo?
I forget.
I think he's just an iconic clown from
Okay.
the
Wait, do we know? Modern Family. Maybe?
No, that's
Okay.
Gizbo.
Oh, Gizbo. How do I know? I don't even like clowns. Anyways. Once again, we were talking about the random stuff that goes in your brain subconsciously. This is one of them. We talked about it in the previous episode. So we have a spooky spot, and it's said that Guthrie, I might be butchering this name as always, Guthrie? Guthrie?
Guntrie.
Yeah.
Guthrie.
Guthrie. One of the oldest towns in the state is one of the spookiest places in Oklahoma.
Okay.
There are at least 8 haunted locations, from the Stone Line Inn, inhabited by a spirit of an 8-year-old girl, to a Blue Bell, a one-time bordello where the formal madame and some of her clients still make their presence known. And as far as hotel goes, because once again, we're all about that spooky life and road trips, we have the Skirvin Hilton Hotel. It is not only the oldest hotel in Oklahoma City, it is also a place where its ghosts are said to have caused basketball teams, including the New York Knicks and the Chicago Bulls, to lose games.
That's impressive.
Excuse me while I laugh.
That is really impressive.
Wow.
With the NBA, that's great.
See, they do live very complicated, stressful lives, these ghosts.
Kind of reminds me of, I finally watched Soul the other day.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, he's like, I've been messing with this team forever. And he throws it at the Lakers.
Oh my god, that literally reminded me of Soul. Without giving spoilers, Soul is
Go watch Soul.
Go watch Soul. Just do yourself a favor and watch Soul this year.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. At number 9, also a little bit too far down the list, don't we say, Miss New York?
Yes, New York deserves to be higher up on the list, I think. But I mean, I understand why it might not be because of all the other states having so much land in which they had battles. But like,
yeah,
this one's like condensed spooky. Everything is.
yeah. I definitely agree with that one. So New York, of course, we think of haunted like the Headless Horseman, which we absolutely love.
The goat.
Exactly. Who roamed the Hudson Valley searching for his head. But you know, like it says here, made up character. I don't think he is. So who's to say? A spooky spot we have is Manhattan. So within Manhattan, it's Manhattan, just Manhattan, the whole of Manhattan, spooky spot. Some visitors have gone to the Morris Jamel Mansion in Washington Heights, and they claim that they've seen lots of like scary voices. I mean, seen scary ski blah blah blah. They've seen.
You're turning into a scat man over there.
All right. They've seen strange things and they hear voices. And then there's the House of Death at 14th.
Jesus.
Right?
The House of Death.
At 14th West 10th Street, where Mark Twain once lived and documented supernatural experiences. Twain still roams the place along with 21 other ghosts. It's the ballroom party, you know what I mean? This is like, there's one in like, where was his ballroom party? In Ohio and Illinois and somewhere. And the other one is in New York, Manhattan. So yeah.
Can you visit the House of Death?
I don't know actually. We have to look it up.
Name.
House of Death.
It's just to the point.
Oh my god. The most haunted hotel, it's the Lake George Sagmore Hotel. It has been a very well-known favorite vacation spot since it was built in 1883.
I went camping at Lake George the year before last. If I'd known that, I might have gone to look.
So we have a lot of spirits in this one as well, and it says including a silver-haired woman wearing a polka dot dress and ghostly children who are sometimes spotted on the golf course.
Interesting.
Very.
So yeah, New York, which like you said, there should be a lot more for New York, but yeah. And last and definitely not least, Virginia.
What? Massachusetts is not on this list?
Nope, it's on the list.
I mean, I wonder how they like determine this list. Is it like spooky by square foot miles? How much spook are you containing within your state?
Because I was expecting Massachusetts as well when I first looked it up.
I mean,
like,
we have Salem. Boston is arguably the nation's most like historically rich city. The Revolutionary War.
All right, before we go into Massachusetts, which you're going to tell us a little bit about, Virginia. Colonial, Williansburg is a great place to soak in American history and meet some captivating ghosts. One of the most notorious is Lady Anne Skip who broke a heel right before she took her own life. Now, people.
What?
Those were her favorite pair of shoes.
Up trying to take her own life? Like,
yep.
How did she? I don't want to sound morbid, but how did she take her life exactly? That became an important anecdote.
In this particular article, it doesn't say, but we can definitely look it up and figure out how she took.
Like, was she jumping off a ledge and she tripped, but she broke her heel, or building, or flat ground?
I feel like she probably jumped from somewhere. That's what it feels like. Oh, because look, the next thing that I was going to say, actually, because this happened in the George Wythe house, and some people touring the house, because now it's a museum, sometimes hear the sound of a heel banging on a staircase.
Interesting. That's her trying to break the other heel to make it even.
Been there, girl. That's like the ghost from like the 1722 ghost with the lavender. I'm like, I've been there. We've all, yes.
Like people downstairs, like sometimes you can hear her and you hear the banging, and then she's just like upstairs, like fucking heel, just fucking.
That's happened to me in the clubs. Like I understand her pain.
Yeah, it would be funnier if it wasn't just banging. If it was just like a step and then a clank and a step.
To make it more realistic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she's a ghost, so the heel will never fully break. So it's like an eternity of like.
This is like the dog who always wants to play.
Oh.
I mean, they say that when you die, whatever outfit you're wearing when you die is your ghost outfit, which I don't know if I believe that to be true, but if it is, I am so sorry for her breaking her heel at the last second.
Walking around for eternity, like you said, that unbalance. Like, this is hell. This is my hell. This is not limbo. This is hell.
It is though. I feel like all the women, all our women listeners are like, "Yep, been there. Yep." And the fact you can't go barefoot or anything like that. Oh God! Once again, it's like the dog wanting to play forever.
I feel bad for this ghost.
For her sake, I hope it was like a 2-inch heel versus like a higher one.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really say the year, so I don't know how long high heels were meant to, like how high. I don't know. We'll see. And for last, the most haunted hotel in Virginia is a very elegant hotel called, it's in Hunt Country, sorry. And it's the Black Horse Inn. It used to be a Civil War hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So today's guests report visions of wounded soldiers and even laughing nurse wandering through the hotel.
I wonder what she's laughing about.
Probably just gone insane. Like when you have to cut off so many freaking legs, it's like great, more legs.
That, in all honesty, could make for a creepy horror movie scene.
That's
your hotel room, and you just saw a nurse coming down the hall who was like creepy laughter, just looked totally unhinged.
This is exactly what I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So what do you guys think about the top 10 list apart from Massachusetts not being on it?
You know, it's also surprising that list does not focus on the Pacific Northwest at all.
Yeah.
It looks like it mostly focused in when they made this list based off of, like you said, places and hotels, maybe battlefields, but you also have
more historical stuff from what we read.
Hauntings versus like, the forests, in the entire Pacific Northwest, you also have more forts, towards the outskirts of both the East and West Coast lighthouses, yeah.
Oh, especially lighthouses. My gosh. Yes. Once again, anything that's with the water just attracts me. So we're going to continue with most haunted places. And you definitely got a really cool one for us, don't you, Sam?
I do. Okay. So we mentioned on our list that California was up there at number 2. I am originally from California. I live in New York City now. Where I lived in California was the Central Valley, which is where Fresno and Madera are. And then my family lives further up towards Bass Lake. And above Bass Lake is Yosemite National Park. So I was going to talk about what is so spooky about Yosemite National Park. You're probably wondering, first of all, have I been there? Yes, I have been there only once, unfortunately. I would have loved to have gone more, because considering how long I lived there. But at this point, I've only been there once. But some really cool things are there's a lot of folklore surrounding the national park. So many different types of ghosts and creatures and superstitions and history. A lot of Native American history actually contributes to what goes on in the park. And before I go any further, this deserved an honorable mention, which is if you have never gone to Reddit No Sleep and read the thread called I'm a search and rescue officer for the U.S. Forest, please do, because it goes into all the very creepy things about national parks. And it's, whether true or not, is like a great scary read. So anyways, On that
I'll be
note.
checking that out soon.
One of the first things is the tribe of the Awani have this superstition of a, I don't want to call it a ghost, but like a ghost or an entity called the Pahono, which is basically near the waterfalls. So like if you get too close to a fall, supposedly it appears as like a wind, and it will push you into treacherous waters or into rocks. So they're always saying don't get too close to the bottom of the waterfalls for fear of the Pahono, which had I known this way back when, that would have been something, because see, when I went to Yosemite, California was in the middle of a drought. And when I went, it was in the dead of summer with my best friend. And a lot of the waterfalls didn't have a lot of water running through them. And so people were actually climbing up the rocks to get closer to the waterfall. And we did that at like 3 different waterfalls. So, I mean, knowing I did that and then hearing about the Pahono, I'm just like, well, glad I did not die. But also,
Yes.
even superstition aside, it is, Yosemite National Park is like many other parks. It's perilous land. It can be dangerous, and you need to know what you're doing when you're climbing those rocks or going through that forest. And it spans Yosemite itself, 747,956 acres. It goes all the way up into the Sierra Nevadas, so which is a mountain range through California, if you don't know.
Wow.
Yes, it's very huge. You can very easily get lost. A lot of different things can happen to you. Another kind of well-known ghosty, I guess, is Yosemite's well-known Jason Voorhees, quote unquote, which is there is a ghost of an Indian boy in Gross Lake who supposedly will call out to you or cry and lure you to the lake and then pull you under and drown you.
Oh my God.
And this was actually first recorded in 1857 with the very first park ranger, Galen Clark, made a note in his records about hearing someone calling out to him. And he thought it was like an animal or something, and he consulted the local tribe, to which they told him, "It's not a dog. Do not go after it. Leave it alone." And he and they tried to explain to them. They tried to explain to the park ranger the story of the boy, and he just thought like, no, it must have been some animal. But I think those Indians really believed that story they told me. So yeah, there's the boy in Groose Lake. In 1998, 3 severed deer heads were found by a ranger in the back country division, which is creepy because he was 30 miles into the forest away from his car. And he's walking, and in the middle of the trail, he sees a severed deer head. Clean cut, no body nearby, no blood splatter everywhere, just a clean severed deer head in the middle of the path. So he buries it, and he continues down the trail where he finds a second one. At this point, he's freaking out, knowing how far he is, and he realizes that somebody could be watching him. And so he does this thing again, and he buries it, and he continues onward to where he finds a third one. And this one has like more of its skin like peeled off. At this point, he's very freaked out. They never figured out who did it or why that happened, but he made a note of it, obviously, when he got back. So very creepy thing that happened. Children go missing all the time under mysterious circumstances. They are often said to go missing near huckleberry bushes. And then a storm always comes in to wash away the tracks, and they find pieces of clothing farther away, or they'll find the kids without shoes, but they have no scratches or dirt on their feet. So they're wondering, how did you get all the way over here with clean feet and no shoes? And it's said that it's possibly a Wendigo or a Ciatic, which is another legend. I have yet to research fully into that one, but the Wendigo I definitely know about. So capturing little children near huckleberry bushes. This is definitely a long list, so I'm going to kind of touch very shortly on a few other things, which is UFO sightings, You have the cursed Tenaya Canyon, which is the Bermuda Triangle of Yosemite. You have, this is the thing I really wanted to lead up to, which is the connection to The Shining. You have the Ahwahnee Hotel, and you also have the Majestic Yosemite Hotel. Now, the Ahwahnee Hotel is haunted in itself by a woman named Mary Curie Tressiter. She lived in an apartment on the top floor in the 1970s, and she passed away there. So it's said that you can still hear her around at the hotel. But the reason this is connected to The Shining is because Stanley Kubrick, when he filmed it, he took inspiration from other hotels. The main outside one was the Timberland Hotel in Oregon. But for the interior things, he took inspiration almost completely from the Ahwahnee Hotel and the Majestic Yosemite Hotel. Basically replicated and altered the Native American designs because he wanted the hotels to look authentic. And because of the Native American history in Yosemite, that's why the hotels have that. So that's why certain parts of the Shining look that way. You have the lobby, the Great Lounge, that classic elevator scene. The other thing is that they say possibly Kubrick was integrating these things to reflect on the history of Native American genocide, especially when Jack Torrance's new boss says, quote unquote, "The site is supposed to be built on an Indian burial ground, and I believe they actually had to repel a few Indian attacks as they were building it." This is apparently not in the book at all, which Dylan hopefully can confirm, but Kubrick put this into his movies.
I have no recollection of reading that, so yeah, it's probably Kubrick destroying something beautiful. Yes.
So that is a really cool connection
That's awesome.
Yosemite's hotels you can stay at have to The Shining, and definitely Yosemite Valley has a lot of Native American superstition and lore, especially because more than one battle for the land took place there. That's actually why the Tenaya Canyon is considered cursed, is because the whites tried to drive them out. And in that battle, because the chief Tenaya, he was like, "My people are not leaving, we're going to fight you." And during the battle, his son got killed. So in his grief, he cursed the land.
These are the kind of things that I always found interesting, because even with the list that we quickly said, they're about historical stuff, which is still pretty cool. But it's about Civil War and things like that. And the ones that you're mentioning is the ones I want to know more about because they're Native American. Maybe it's me being me and like open to different cultures and whatnot, but there's so much spirituality beyond that. Whereas, which we kind of touch upon it, I think in the first episode, if I recall correctly. And these are the ones that are the most interesting for me, I want to say. So I actually appreciate that list a whole lot. Some of the things I didn't know, but once again, I just like knowing about Native Americans and like their kind of history and like what they've gone through and things like that.
I mean, I didn't, even living next to Yosemite, I had no idea until I was researching more into it. Like I knew Yosemite had like its different scary stuff being a large national park, but I didn't know it had so much history underneath all that of the land and battling for it. Even aside from Tenaya Canyon, the Majestic Yosemite Hotel, it actually sits on land that was violently taken from the natives by the Mariposa Battalion of California, and they were driving out the tribes during the 1849 gold rush. So the hotel that Kubrick took inspiration from for the Native Americans and said was in the movie on top of an Indian burial ground was in reality on top of an Indian burial ground.
Basically. Which that's how it comes full circle, especially for you.
I had absolutely no idea about, like, of course I know Yosemite Park, but I had no idea it had all this creepy stuff.
Yeah, there's I mean, a lot of national parks are definitely like this, which is why I mentioned that thread, because it's so juicy. It talks about all these different things. A lot of which is like missing persons that go missing under very odd circumstances. Even, I forgot to mention it because I didn't write it down, but a very famous missing case in Yosemite is that of Stacy in 1981, which was a 14-year-old girl who was with her family camping, and she walked away from them to go take pictures by the lake. But she walked away with somebody else, an older man. But on their way to the lake, because he was like 72 years old, he's like, I need to stop and take a breath. I'm going to sit right here. I'll catch up with you. And she goes, okay, I'll meet you at the lake. Walks away, only to never, ever be found again. They only found the lens off her camera. They found no tracks, no trace of her clothes, her body, nothing. They did full sweeps with dogs and helicopters and all of it. To this day, she is a favorite case among paranormal investigators of a missing person. There was even a whole other thing where this guy who was investigating her disappearance started to try and uncover a conspiracy with national parks, saying that they were covering up information that they were withholding from the public. He's like, there's more to this that you're not telling us. I think you know more about what happened to Stacy and all these missing people that you're not saying, which again reminds me of the freaking Reddit thread, because like, if there are spooky things going on, how are you just going to tell that to people?
Mm-hmm. Fucking hell.
There's such a fine line for both, because on one hand, yeah, it's super spooky, super, I don't know how to say it, like, you just, like what we were talking about before, you just know something's up and you know something's there. And there has to be a reason behind all this, or a not only a reason, of course, because that's just a conversation that goes into layers. But at the same time, because you know you form part of this realm and you know 1 + 1 = 2, and in other words, the police hide stuff and don't want to tell you the whole story, you're like, is there more details to that?
I just thought of another one that happened that I forget the name of the girl, but she was with her parents and she climbed up a tree to get a better look at the view, and she never came back down. And they were calling out to her, and finally they called a forest service in or whatever to come look, and they checked the tree, they checked the surrounding area. She climbed that tree, she never came back down. She disappeared completely.
What?
Right? That's my brain exploding. Creepy thing, like, and there's a similar like story in the Reddit thread, which makes me almost think like they either took it from inspiration from that if they're making it up, or like this is a common thing that does happen.
I feel like it's more common than we think, because once again, there's so many other things that are out there that we don't know of precisely. Exactly. But that's the thing, I can totally see that happening. I feel like that girl had a whole different agenda going on. And it goes for something as simple as like, oh my God, supernatural, which is not simple at all, but you know what I mean? Like the typical paranormal kind of suspicions. But also remind me really quickly of the Umbrella Academy. Like it's one of those things that I know, like it's DC or Marvel, like comics, superheroes, blah, blah, blah. But it's one of those stories that you know that's like, they're onto something. Mm-hmm. There's like, it's hard to explain right now because I feel like I have no words today, but that's also a common theme in my life. It really is. But this is why I choose to believe. Like I choose to know that this is just goes beyond our comprehension.
I want to believe.
Yeah, I've been having that music in my head for a while now.
Yeah, that plays a lot when I was like reading through all these things. If you are wanting to check out that Reddit thread I mentioned, again, it's Reddit No Sleep. I'm a search and rescue officer for the U.S. Forest, and it's like a multiple part series. If you want a little bit of a snidbit to make you interested and want to read it even more, don't walk up any stairs you find abandoned in the forest. And that's the only note I'm going to leave it on. Now
we'll definitely write it in the captions, of course, for today, so they also know it, our listeners, our viewers. before we start wrapping things up, we really want to have a sneak peek. You guys have been asking since I randomly mentioned, or we both randomly mentioned, this place called Midfield. We randomly mentioned, I think, one of our episodes, and then also in our stories when we went back in October. We haven't gone back mainly because it's cold. That's just literally the only reason for me. But this season we heard you loud and proud. So we do have special surprises coming for you this season. But meanwhile, I know Dylan wanted to mention a couple of things talking about haunted places.
Yeah. So like you said, we mentioned it and everyone kind of jumped on it, was like, tell us more, tell us more, tell us more. Well, you're not getting everything now, but I can give you a little tidbit. As we've mentioned before, if you don't know, we live one town away from this place, Midfield. And in this town is a very famous, abandoned, but still standing mental asylum, Midfield State Hospital. It did get a little bit of notoriety a couple of years ago when they did Shutter Island, when Leonardo DiCaprio was walking around. They used the backdrop as well as some of the buildings, and they just, beautified them. And that's where they actually shot some of the actual movie, Shutter Island.
Cool.
So, yeah, Midfield, this random town that no one's ever heard of, got like it's 5 minutes of fame when they did Shutter Island. Great movie, by the way. And with Midfield, I have a great many family members who used to work there in different capacities, from my mom, who was just like a LPN, to my great grandmother, who was like a head nurse of one of the buildings, to my grandfather, who was just a maintenance guy, and my aunt, who was administration. And everyone has a story. Everyone has a something.
Everyone has a lot of stories.
And when we eventually do that episode, we're gonna have my aunt come on, who loves and adores that place to this day, and is just gonna spill her guts about Midfield State Hospital.
Exactly. We go often. We go often just for fun. It's a really interesting place as well, because it's just like a park now.
It's a dog park. You're gonna see a ton of people there with their dogs.
With their dogs and their kids. So I found that hilarious. And there's like basketball courts and things like that. And all this like surrounded by the buildings, of course, were shut down because of course they have what's it called inside? Asbestos. And things like that. So we think, yeah, it's definitely one of our favorite places.
It's gorgeous. It's so pretty.
We're taking Sam there one day, aren't we? We're taking you one day. She's just like in awe, basically.